The words of this panegyric for Trevor Fowler are based on just a few words, a few lines from the book of Ecclesiastes. For everything there is a season. In another season, Trevor Fowler could have stood with Henry V's men as they faced fearful odds for their approaching engagement with the French. And the words of the Duke of Bedford could be our words of Trevor Fowler's life. These words: "He is as full of valour as of kindness, princely in both. He came carrying ample credentials that would have commended him to serve in many causes, but he chose St. Michael's. It was the early 1970s. It was a new season for St. Michael's, and Trevor Fowler made it also his new season. I needed new men to join me to transform the interior of this church from its out-of-season relic into a new reality as we see it today. Anyone surveying its stolid state at that time understandably would have shrunk from a task of such extensive proportions, concluding it would be impossible to achieve the changes that were envisaged. But the congregation at that time was finished, and it was searching for its own new season. That new season was about to break. Neurologist Barry Morley, at that time our own in-house poet, wrote these words: "Old times, gone time. New times come. Old fears still lurk behind the tombstones, hiding from the sun of this new season." Out from his old church history stepped an architect called Vivian Taylor, ready to embrace a new church vision. When he saw what was envisaged, he and I knew that we needed new men to help us make it happen. So first I invoked the images of a church taking its place in a much wider world, a wider world of which Trevor Fowler knew. And so I brought to this pulpit the then minister of Riverside Church, New York. Second, I put the proposal to the then emerging body of the church. And there was Trevor Fowler, ready to do a job of his lifetime and mine. In the course of the ensuing decade, we redeveloped the interior of this church. We sold up the run-down, slummish surrounding properties. We installed these stained glass windows, a magnificent expression of existential religious art, an expression of ancient biblical and contemporary theology made dramatically and colourfully visual to arouse curiosity in a profoundly different way. Over the years, with special events, open days in Melbourne, weddings and funerals, many thousands of people have stepped through the doorway of this church, this architectural treasure right in the heart of Melbourne. The tapestry on the wall over here confronts them, greets them, and then their eyes are opened to the windows. A team of workers made these windows happen, from the idea to the poem, to the artist, to the craftsman, to the committee. teamwork, for sure. But before the teamwork could get really underway, we needed the right source of funding for that good moment of time. And we needed the right person. For everything, for everyone, there is a season. The basic negotiation to get through those early roadblocks and to ensure the right money was earmarked for the project, and that the money would be there on time for this remarkable gift to the future. That negotiation fell to Trevor Fowler, and he and I took a great deal of gleeful pleasure in outmanoeuvring those outside our congregation who would have blocked the scheme altogether. So in designing the new suite of buildings behind us, we brought a new image to the church nationwide, in fact. We gave the church itself a new name to embody the task of the church in this new age, where the prevention of destructiveness, violence, and waste were causes of paramount importance. And St. Michael's, in all its thematic imagery, became a word, St. Michael's, a word, the ensign to signify and symbolize the new era that was breaking around it. And as one decade followed another, we established Mingery through these doors to be a new engine with energy for a church right in the heart of this city, this busy, often stressful city. So with the pioneering platforms already established, up stepped another new man of St. Michael's in the person of Graham Nielsen. And with his meticulous skills and admirable patience, Mingery, the quiet place, became a new word, and today is part of the new ministry of St. Michael's and a new presence for the city of Melbourne. Along with these external visual events, a new faith was evolving. The remarkable American psychologist and physician, William James, a new man to the world of evolving psychology, in fact, gave his Gifford lectures in 1902. A new man in 1902. He said then, we need to revisit the basic beliefs of the faith. That the visible world is part of a more spiritual universe from which the visible world draws its significance, its chief significance. And that a harmonious relation with that higher universe is its true end. That our search is for a new zest, which will be added like a gift to life. And that zest will bring enhancement and enchantment to all who embrace it. That was William James back in 1902. All of this became part of us. The new image of the church, a new mission of the church, a new name, a new era, a new faith for a new world have all happened. And let it be said without any equivocation that they were able to happen because of the early responsivity of men like Trevor Fowler, Vivian Taylor, and Graham Nielsen. It was a huge loss that when so much was yet to happen, we lost each of these men in succession. They were men for their season in different ways, and they brought a flourishing to their season. But that was not all for Trevor Fowler. There was the internal formation of the administrative buildings on this site behind us. This was no small crumbs for breakfast job. Every day for many months, it was the full plate of bacon and eggs to get that job done. And today, thousands of people, literally, benefit from what was then achieved. Now, the church at large, and even the church in this place, has had an ambiguous attitude to rewards for services given. It has meant that many have come and gone, some content and some with discontent, and often feeling unrewarded for a lifetime of selfless service. I often pause to realise that no doubt people come into this church or into its premises and become part of the huge population that use the halls and offices. And no doubt they could assume that they're always like this. They're always here. Not so. Trevor Fowler's long involvement with the church here and elsewhere was never adequately rewarded. And now, long after his contribution is in the past, that contribution can be a vanishing memory. Time, like an ever-rolling stream, bears all its sons away. But I can testify not only to the benefit to St. Michael's and its community that came from Trevor Fowler's commitments, his skills, and his attributes. It was also at the beginning of the 1970s that he took up the cause of the Ken Miller Institute. The Institute was in a season of astonishing transition. Indeed, it still is. He wanted to be part of that transition, that growth. And he and Norma made a long and large contribution to its colour and its character. Some years ago, Ken Miller signalled the exceptional service of Trevor Fowler and awarded him its highest honour. The chief patron in 2003 placed on Trevor Fowler's shoulders the purple sash of the Ken Miller Institute and named him a fellow of the Institute. As new men and women take part in the ongoing life of the church and of the Ken Miller Institute, season succeeding season, they should know they are following the groundbreaking season of that time of the early 1970s and thereafter, when Trevor Fowler and other men of calibre walked through the doors of a declining Collins Street independent church and helped it become St. Michael's on Collins, expansively part of a new faith of cosmological significance. On several occasions, he would have heard me read a beautiful poem, The Chateau, by Henry Reed, an Australian poet largely ignored as hardly significant. But the work of one small poem gave us the stirring imagery of a larger, more colourful context of which Trevor Fowler was a part. From our own speck of insignificance, we can take this poem and find a poetic transformational moment as we hear the poet's words and as we follow the poet's footsteps. And at the end he sits waiting to gain entry. Entry to what? To the chateau. And he wrote, "Surely beyond that great facade, my life is being lived. lived, and loved. Breathes in a single breath its anthem of love and praise. Surely there will be a signal, and surely it will happen. And tell me that now I must rise, and with firm footsteps tread across the enormous flagstones, reach, find, and know my own and veritable door. I shall open it, enter and learn that in all this hungry time, I have never wanted, but have elsewhere on honey and milk been fed, have in green pastures somewhere lain, and in the mornings, somewhere beside the still waters, have mysteriously, ecstatically been led. The conditions of our life are written into time. None of us can outstay the ultimate condition of time. We each have our season. Trevor Fowler enhanced and enriched the season that was his, flourishing in his time, living his full season and giving to those who follow their season and another season. The road goes ever on and on, out from the door where it began. Now far ahead, the road has gone. Let others follow, if they can. Or perhaps the words of Sir Walter Raleigh would remind us of the passionate man's pilgrimage. Give me my scallop shell of quiet, my staff of faith to walk upon, my scrip of joy, immortal diet, my bottle of salvation, my gown of glory, hope's true gauge, and thus I'll take my pilgrimage. Trevor Fowler, on behalf of St. Michael's and the church in many places, on behalf of the Cairnmiller Institute, on behalf of thousands of people, today we pause in gratitude and thank you.